So without further delay, I would like to invite Saudara William Leong to give us more on what is 1MDB issue.
Chen Chong and Akmal have actually said everything that needs to be said, but I will still soldier on. A lot of people ask, what is 1MDB? What's the fuss? We have heard about Cayman Islands, Petro Saudi. My two friends have told you about it. You know that there have been delays in filing audited accounts, changing auditors, reducing profits through revaluation. They are 36 million in debt, and now they are going into energy and want to lease it. It all started in 2009. During the speech for 23rd October 2009, for the 2010 budget speech, the title is One Malaysia, Together We Prosper. And in paragraph 32 of the speech, our Prime Minister says, we have taken aggressive steps to attract investors from Middle East, China and India. This initiative has yielded positive results. I'm trying to speak like him in Parliament. Following my recent visit, a company from Saudi Arabia has invested US dollars 1.5 billion in a high impact project in collaboration with One Malaysia Development Berhad, a government-owned sovereign wealth fund, which has also invested USD 1 billion in the project. Now, if you look at this statement, I was in Parliament when he said it. You would think that they are investing in Malaysia, isn't it? But this is the investment of Petro Saudi. And the money was not invested in Malaysia. So what is the high impact? We will be feeling the impact very soon. But not the way we thought it was in 2009. And the Prime Minister told us that it is a sovereign wealth fund. But if you go into the 1MDB website, they say they are a strategic development company. What is the difference? It's a big difference. A sovereign wealth fund are funds that government in all exporting countries, starting with Norway after the discovery of oil in the North Sea. The Norwegians, they think ahead, they say that this is a depleting resource. The money that we are going to make from this oil, we will put into this fund to be invested for sustainable development for the future of our children. And it was a good idea. So all exporting countries, Kuwait, Qatar, Middle Eastern countries, China, all have sovereign wealth fund. Why? Because when you export oil, when you make the profit, under all government procedures and structures and constitution, it must be kept in very safe, non-risk deposits. So the government says, well, I don't want to make 1%, I need to make more. So instead of being in control by the finance minister, they send the money out into a sovereign wealth fund to invest in high yielding returns, so that the people in Norway, the children and the grandchildren will have a sustainable development. But in 2008, what happened in 2008? We have the subprime For the first time, USA and Europe was like Malaysia in 1998. They had problems. So they used the sovereign wealth fund to invest back to bail out their banks. They follow Malaysia. They learned it from Mahathir after 1998. So the sovereign wealth fund was used to bail out the Lehman Brothers and the banks in the US. Then everyone said, wow, what a way to go. Now you can use the sovereign wealth fund without having to go through so many channels. So I think there's this very smart boy from Wharton who went to business school there. His name is Joe Low. He comes back and says, Malaysia should have a sovereign wealth fund. Originally, Terengganu, the Sultan said that's a very good idea because we have got all this 5% royalty, we don't know what to do. It's too small. So it became 1 MDB for the whole of Malaysia. So what did he say? We will use to attract FDI, and we will use it to launch the Tun Razak Exchange for property development. In the parliament, we all say, very good, very good. Yeah? Everybody also says, very good. But what did they do? They were using it to play with the accounts. This is something, do you remember Enron? Yeah? I have been a corporate lawyer for the last 35 years, that's why they say I'm old. My experience as a lawyer is older than they are. But that is what cowboys do. Yeah? You become very creative in your accounting, and that's what they are doing. Creative accounting, the same piece of land. Who cannot make money if the government sells cheap land to them, $46 per square foot in Sungai Bisi? Obviously tomorrow you will be a millionaire. And that is what was given to 1 MDB. Tun Razak Exchange, 70 acres. They revalue it at 3,000. They were given the Sungai Bisi Airport, $46 per square foot. So they told the country, we are so smart, 1 MDB, you look at my accounts. Every year I'm making money. But they were revaluing the same piece of land every year. Nobody does that. This is creative accounting. And it is by a GLC. What has happened now? 2009. Have you seen this Bandar Malaysia? Have you seen this Tun Razak Exchange? This is 2014. We are coming to 2015. You still don't see the development. And investors are starting to pull up because 1 MDB is using the funds that they have raised to pay debts, not towards development of Tun Razak Exchange or Bandar Malaysia. So we go to the next issue that you have heard for tonight, Petro Saudi, which I told you it was already announced in the 2009 budget speech. And we all thought that it was a high impact project in Malaysia. But actually, it was not. And it was Anwar who raised it. In 2010 and 2013 April, Anwar raised the issue of 1 MDB. Why are they raising so much money? 1 MDB paid up capital is 1 million ringgit. 35 billion is borrowed. None of us will be able to raise this kind of money. Just now you heard about the guarantees. I am in the PAC, Public Accounts Committee. Every session we are talking about this problem. All this private initiative, all this privatization, the company goes out to borrow. The company themselves, like one MDB with 1 million paid up. How can they raise loans? You want to buy a house, you also cannot get raise a loan. The bank will reject you. The bank is looking at the letter of support. You can call it letter of support, you can call it letter of guarantee. The bank is looking at that letter and give it a AAA rating. Therefore, there is no way that the government is not going to be responsible for the 35 billion loan. And we know that from PKFZ, it's the same argument. They say that it didn't guarantee, it's a letter of support, but when it came to the crunch, the government paid. And so, 35 billion, 36 billion, or 43 billion, we will have to pay. And the creation, first year itself, they said, wow, we made 425 million, we are so clever. What did we do? That high impact project was in Petro Saudi. Petro Saudi was given the 1 billion cash. It wasn't invested in Malaysia. We asked, I think the answer was Kazakhstan for oil exploration. 5 months later, they said, we sold the investment back to Petro Saudi for 4.1 billion. Therefore, we made a gross profit of 600 million and a net profit of 425 million. Please give us a clap, you're so clever. But they didn't tell us. And now we have discovered Petro Saudi took the 1 billion. That's equivalent to ringgit Malaysia 3.5 billion. They are paying back 4.1 billion, but installment over 11 years. And the last to be repaid is 21st of March 2021. Maybe my grandson will see it. The repayments didn't come back to Malaysia. They are in the Cayman Islands. That is the real story. And that is why we have been having this problem of getting their accounts, because finally they have to review. And in 2012, after Anwar have requested so many times, the BAC called one MDB. I was inside there at the meeting. It was chaired by then Datuk Sri Asmin Khalid. Then after one session, he told the press, so far, from what you can see, technically speaking, the accounts are in order. Close the case. But only one document was submitted by one MDB. None of the other documents were given to us. They say that Petro Saudi do not agree. You have to accept what they say. Although many of us, which are the Pakatan members in PAC, there are 5 of us, there are 7 of them in BN, that's why we were outvoted. We said that we were not happy with the results, we want the Auditor General to look into it. But that was in 2012, and after that, the Parliament was dissolved. So, it wasn't audited. The question still remained, but we already knew back then that there was trouble, and the troubles were seen in that the auditors, good names, Ernst & Young, KPMG, now Deloitte, they didn't want to sign the accounts. Or they resigned. The 2013 accounts that was supposed to be due in March were only filed in September 2014. After a lot of pressure by everyone. And this year, the 2014 accounts have still not been filed. There were a long list. Deloitte came out and we have a long list, and to disclose there were critical areas. The auditor says that they have identified areas of uncertainties made by the directors. In other words, it's a very polite way of saying the auditors do not agree with the decision of the directors in the way they present the accounts. And finally, they say this is 2014. One MDB has no control over this 7.18 billion deposit in the Cayman Islands. They admitted unable to exercise control or significantly influence the financial investment in the unnamed Cayman Islands. So, what is the money doing in Cayman Islands? Whether the money is still there is left unanswered. One MDB tried to clarify. They say, well, I say that we don't have control because we are participating in the fund, and therefore it is not for us to say what the Cayman Island fund manager is going to do with the money. And we do revaluation of TRX and Bandar Malaysia to accurately reflect the enhanced value as the development progresses. Sounds very good. But you ask which developer. Today, I build the ground floor, it is 100 million. Tomorrow, I build the second floor, it's 200 million. No developer does their accounts that way. Every month you change the value because the floor is going up. That is the creative accounting. These are the clarifications that have been made by the auditors. So now that all the pressure is there, they say it's coming home. It's like tomorrow. Tomorrow it will come back. But 2011, tomorrow until today, is still coming back. It's not come back yet.
It's on the way.
It's on the way. Malaysia boleh. Alright. So the next issue, which I, as a corporate lawyer, will know. They thâu xịt cho liều mặt rồi cho mà lên check mặt your problem. So when you have stolen or you've done something wrong, you try to cover up because you have to make good, and the money is not coming back. So you have to find a way to bring back the money. So what do? They go and buy Tanjung, and they go and buy Genting, and they go and buy all the first generation IPP. Yeah? And they're going to lease it. Now we go back to the first generation IPP. Some of you not born yet, I think. There was a blackout. TNB, that time LLAN says not enough electricity. So Mahathir says we need to have urgent supply. We will give it to the IPP. You remember Ani Arrow, TNB, says that it was a bad deal. That TNB actually can produce the power at a cheaper cost. We have been suffering, waiting for this first generation IPPs to expire. Tenchong have touched on it. And Tenchong have brought up the point that it was a BOT. It means build, operate and transfer. So at the end of the term, you have already made your money. The plant is supposed to be transferred back to TNB. So there is no issue of an extension. Akma and Chenchong have also touched on the amount that has been paid. How do you value? How do you value the IPP when it has only 2 years left? So it's only 2 years worth of revenue. It is not 10.8 billion. It is not 1.2 billion. It has been overpaid. And this is one of those areas the auditors have picked up to say that they do not agree with the treatment of the goodwill. But we are paying. I now take you back to 1990, when we have the TNB and the IPP issue, to show that we have been using the gas. The gas have been supplied to the IPP. What is the argument by Mahathir that we need IPP? We need the power because the manufacturers got no power. So we are doing it for the manufacturers. And we may have to pay a higher tariff, but we need it for the manufacturing. So that's why gas supply, part of it now has to be given to the IPPs. Today it is no longer sustainable. It was supposed to be to solve the problem of the manufacturing. So that is the non-power side. But do you look at the other side? More of the supply was given to the IPPs. And then for export, you must use special tankers, MISC tankers, to transport the gas. Who owns MISC? These are questions that we all know how to answer. So there's not enough supply. Just recently, the government, Petronas, have opened a plant called a reticulation gas terminal in Malacca. We are now importing gas to fulfill the supply needs. If there is no reticulation plant, there is not enough gas. I have clients that are manufacturers that wanted to expand, and I have asked this question in Parliament, and in 2010, none other than the Prime Minister himself answered to say we have a shortage of gas. There was not enough gas to supply to the manufacturers. So the manufacturers cannot expand. The FDI, we are always talking about FDI. FDI is manufacturing. So when the manufacturing comes, they ask, I'm going to open the factory, do you have gas? What is the answer? Petronas said, can you wait after 2015? Because now I'm supplying to the power sector. So if you can wait until 2015, I will supply you. That is why the FDI went out. They cannot have manufacturing for glass, for plastics, for everything that needs gas supply. That's why you remember 2009, FDI fell. We couldn't supply. So the present supply in West Malaysia can only provide for 57%. The rest now have to be imported from Sabah, from outside. Now what has this got to do with the IPPs? If the IPP, following what Chen Chung says, BOT 2015, 2016, 2017, it ends, then all the gas supply goes back to industries. But now, somebody needs to extend this IPP. One MDB bought Tanjung, one MDB bought Genting, so the contract was extended another 20 years. So we've been waiting for 15 years, we've got to wait for now the extension. We have been talking that they've been subsidizing the IPPs. It is a bit small. I will read up for you. Since 1997, Petronas was told that they have to sell the gas to the power sector, TNB and the IPP, 6 ringgit and 40 cents. Non-power, the industries follow the contract. Gas Malaysia follow the contract. In 2002, power sector still 6 ringgit and 40 cents. Non-power is already 11 ringgit 32 cents. Gas Malaysia 940, which means Petronas was selling the gas cheap to the IPPs. We all knew about that, but we say it's a subsidy. The government said not a subsidy because they didn't pay for it, but they were forcing Petronas to pay at a price below market. 2008, the price has already gone up to $32.56. 32 ringgit and 56 cents the industry have to pay, but IPP was still enjoying a special rate at 14 ringgit. I will skip that, go into the last column. 2011, the power sector until today enjoys the special price at 13 ringgit 70 cents, while non-power is 18 ringgit and 35 cents. So, from 1997, when the IPP started, until 2013, when Petronas was doing this site, it's not done by me, it's done by Petronas. Petronas has calculated profits, revenue foregone because of the regulated pricing is 199.9 billion. Now you talk about subsidy. Now you talk about around 95. Now you talk about around 97. Look at the subsidies that has been given to the IPPs. 199.9 billion to up to 2013. And we were waiting for this first generation IPPs to end. Now it is extended. Now 1 MDB buys the IPP and they're going to go and list it in the Bursa. Foreigners are going to buy. We Malaysians will have to pay for it because Petronas will continue to have to provide prices to the IPP below market. That is why they're having a problem. How is 1 MDB going to justify their revenue projections for the listing if they cannot obtain this special price? So when it is announced in the prospectus, I hope all of you will realize it's our gas, it's our petrol, it's our children's future that is now going to be given to 1 MDB to solve their Cayman Island problem. Selling it to foreigners is going to own the shares in our IPPs. So when we say just now 1 Malaysia dalam bahaya, it also means 1 Malaysia in debts in billions. Yeah, that's us. So where do we go from here? We just finished 2 months of debate in Parliament to approve the budget. The budget book is this thick. We go through line by line because the Constitution says that the government must get the approval of Parliament for all this expenditure. That's why we argue and we stay back until 11 p.m. I never knew MPs have to be there, but MPs have to be there, otherwise the next day everyone will complain, why were you not there to argue when the matter came up? So we are arguing for 2 months on the budget, line by line, to ensure that Malaysians are protected in accordance with the Constitution, in accordance with the Financial Procedure Act, which provides any guarantees can only be signed by the Minister of Finance after obtaining approvals of all the Treasury, the Ministry of Finance, all the different layers. But if we continue to be allowing our executives to issue letters of support, say no, it's not a guarantee, it's a letter of support, no need to go through Parliament, then we will never be able to control how our government is spending the money. That is why there's a lot of rethinking led by IMF on sovereign wealth fund. One of the reasons that the IMF and the others is that this sovereign wealth fund allows these people that are managing it to evade the control provided by the Constitution. You elect your MPs, we are supposed to look at how the government is spending, but when you have a sovereign wealth fund or a strategic development company that is outside our control, we just raise money as far as the accounts that are produced to us shows 1 MDB, the government has given 1 million. That's all. But we know that it has got a 36 to 43 billion exposure. So the IMF are trying to provide a scheme for more transparency, for more accountability, but at the end of the day, it has to be the people. It's your government. So you have to be able to ensure that your MPs that you have elected is able to protect you. But when you have a sovereign fund that is outside the system, at the end of the day, the guarantee is called we have to pay, but we cannot say no. We don't even know what is happening. As I've gone through here, we know something is wrong from the first day. We ask the PAC to look at it. They come and they say, I give you 1 document, and that's all that you are entitled to look at, because it's outside. Petro Saudi do not allow you to look at it. Then the check and balance is gone. More importantly, the way they have been behaving, the hole is getting bigger. From a 5.8 billion money that has gone to Petro Saudi, that can't come back until 11 years time, they are under pressure. They are under pressure to develop the Tun Razak exchange. They are under pressure to develop the Bandar Malaysia. So they have to find money. So they went into energy. So if you go back and ask what is 1 MDB supposed to be doing, the Prime Minister said is to attract FDI. It is supposed to be investing in Malaysia into business that other people will not want to do. But property development, everyone can do. You don't need a sovereign wealth fund to be doing one development. If you give to me the land at 10 cents or $46 when it is worth 3,000, I also can do. You also can do. Don't need 1 MDB to do.
Everybody can do.
Everyone can do. And that is what is happening. But they cannot do. So they have got to go into something else. But something else, energy, IPP, 1997 already do. So it's not a new venture, it's not a new field. What is 1 MDB going into an area where the contract is expiring? So, are we being taken for a ride? I pose the question, and what are you going to do? That's why we are going around to explain what MDB is all about.
Change the government.
Thank you.